A very good morning to all of you. I hope I'm audible.
Good morning. Yes, you're on.
Morning. We'll start in a minute. In the meanwhile, I'll just share my screen. I hope you all have your stationery ready before we start. I'll just quickly go through whatever you need for today. We'll be needing these sheets of paper, small sheets of paper. Okay, 5 of them. We need such papers. Do not include any kind of art paper. You can have the A4 sheet paper. Um, Preferably the thinner type. Okay, no thick paper. These papers will do. Any A4 sheet will do. We need sketch pens or markers, colors. It can be poster color or pencil color. Sketch pen you can do, but we generally discourage. So either pencil color or poster colors. Okay. So for poster colors to write on, you would be needing markers because sketch pens won't work on them. Okay. So these are the basic requirements, and you need a scissor, some glue, and this kind of a thread. Even don't take the normal thread because it won't hold up. So we just need thread for hanging it up. Okay. So these are the few requirements. In case you don't have thread right now, you can do it later also. But this all stationery is required for the activity. So I hope you have it. If you don't have it, you can quickly bring in, and then we start. It's already time, so we can start off right away. So today's topic is prayer flags. Has anyone come across prayer flags, or do they know what prayer flags are? Anyone who would like to throw some light on it, if you know, before we proceed? See, why I chose this topic was, first of all, it's like a very deep topic. You will have to think a lot, and then you have the materials right in front of you, day in, day out. You'll be seeing it. You'll be also, setting your intentions. Apart from that, I just recently had a trip to Kasol. So from there, I got this inspiration. And this technique has been doing its round for quite a long period of time. So I thought of sharing it with you all. So this is what I got from Kasol. This is a fridge magnet, however. But if you have been to the mountains, especially the northern region of India, you will see that there are certain kinds of flags fluttering in the air. Colorful flags, very bright, colorful flags, hung up everywhere, high up, in fact. And they keep on fluttering. You'll see the fluttering movements all the time. So basically, what you're seeing is the prayer flag. Even in cities, you will see a lot of motorbikers. They will hang small pieces of flag right in front, or maybe at the back seat, of a car. You can see flags hanging, colorful flags hanging. So all those are prayer flags. But what is exactly prayer flags? Is there anyone who can talk about it, or about what prayer flags are? Otherwise, I will move on. Anyone who would like to talk, or maybe even drop a text in the text box? No one? Okay. Then let's start off with today's art activity. So the story behind prayer flags traces back to Buddhism. Okay, it's a concept borrowed from Buddhism, and thousands of years ago, it happened so that during the battle of the gods, the deities, and asuras, they used to carry certain flags with them while they are on the battle. Why? To protect themselves. The god preferred to protect themselves through these, written out flags, where Buddha's teachings or prayers were inscribed. So on these pieces of cloth, bright pieces of cloth, they used to write down prayers and carry those prayers to the battleground so that they can win. So it's like a blessing from the Buddha which they got, and they got all the energy, all the determination, and all the willpower in order to, defeat the asuras. So this was the story behind prayer flags, which got maybe modified over a period of time, went to the other parts of the world, specifically, this part of Asia, and this became very, very popular. So earlier it used to be block printed squares on pieces of cloth, and there were five specific colors. Now, five specific colors would mean this way: first blue, then white, then red, green, followed by yellow. So this was the specific series of colors which they used for prayer flags. And they used to hang up on a thread, a thin thread, and hang up high up. It should not fall on the ground. They used to say if the prayer flag falls on the ground, it is supposed to be a bad omen. So every time they assured that they were either hung up vertically or horizontally. You will see horizontal flags more often. And they were supposed to be in groups of 10. 10 flags are hung together. So this is just five, and then there's supposed to be five more. So that's the traditional way of hanging up prayer flags. Now, each of these colors represent certain meanings. So we have the five elements which we already know, that is air, water, fire, earth, wind. Okay, all these air, water, space, and earth. So all these five elements were supposed to be depicted by the five colors. So blue stands for the space, um, white stands for air or the wind, red stands for fire, green stands for water, and yellow stands for earth. So now all these five elements are required in nature in order to give you a very holistic approach towards life. Okay. So this was the entire concept. This symbolized certain elements of the earth. Each of these portions have, certain written words. You can see the first one, the blue one, has Om written on it. Each has a specific meaning to it. The white and the red has Mani. Mani is together. Okay, I'll come to the meanings of it. The green one is Padme, and the yellow one is Hum. So all these words are written on each of these flags. It's generally read like Om Mani Padme Hum. Okay, so this is the entire inscription written, typically for certain commercialized goodies. But apart from that, these flags are not such tiny ones. They're supposed to be huge flags. They're supposed to have certain symbols written on it, certain stories written on it, certain inscriptions or prayers which are very, very ancient. But nowadays days you won't find those. Okay, this has commercialized in such a way that you just have the basic, written words which were Om Mani Padme Hum. Okay, apart from that you won't find much of it on the prayer flags. um, Going by each of the meanings of these words, what they specifically or originally meant was, Om would be the holistic approach, the body, speech, and mind. Over here, speech means communication, how you're communicating with others. Body is your biological self, what you're born with, your genetics, and the mind is your psychological aspect. So, whatever you're thinking, whatever you're processing, everything comes under mind, and it's very, very expansive. So the word Om means typically this. Money means the jewel. Okay, there are supposed to be drawings, in fact, on the flags with a horse and three jewels. The horse means movement or some kind of transformation, some kind of positive energy in your life. And the jewels means these three parts. The jewel, the money part, has these three words written on it: awareness, your relationships, which comprises of love and compassion. So these three words are for the three jewels which are inscribed on the prayer flag. The next one is Padme, which means wisdom. It means actually a lotus. Lotus signifies wisdom, which is also related to your decision making. Your entire decision making surrounds how much you are mature. You know, what kind of decisions you are taking will depend on your maturity as well. Whether it's a good decision, bad decision, it depends on how much mature or wisdom you have. And the last one is hum, which is again one word which is widely used and it's representing concentration, determination, and dedication. So anything to do with your learning, you know, maybe your career, your life goals, everything related to that. So before we proceed, any questions here? So this is the basic concept of a prayer flag before we start off with the art-based therapy. Any questions at this point of time? You can also read up more in details about these five flag colors and what they represent, but more or less I have summed up what each flag means. Okay, now why we'll be doing this is to express our hopes, dreams, and aspirations and desires. There's also spiritual intent in it. People who are handling clients, or if you yourself are very spiritually inclined, you might benefit from this prayer flag in the most deepest way. Okay, so it's all about addressing concerns. What are your present concerns? What are your conflicts? And also, most importantly, to set intentions. Like if you've heard about the vision board, okay, it's kind of modified form of a vision board. Those who are not very comfortable on writing exactly what they need in life, they can break it down into these five parts and then work on this. This is much more of a fun way in order to engage yourself, so it's like a modified version of a vision board. So it's very important that you can set intentions and work on it. So it's like gives you a constant reminder, constant motivation in order to go ahead with your goals. Now the process, I would like to pause here for some time because you know there are different processes. Over here, I have put a process which is originally found, which is done with cloth and stitching. Okay, so this is kind of motor task as well, fine motor task as well. But if you are not comfortable with stitching, we'll be doing the other form of this entire process. So originally, I'll be telling you what is exactly required. You would require this size pieces of cloth of different colors, the five different colors which we have. You can also add an extra step where you just start off with white color cloth and then dye it as per, you know, your whatever materials you have, whatever dyeing materials you have. Generally, we do the blue, red, green, yellow with flowers, flower dye. But if it's not possible, you can always color it in with synthetic dyes as well. So that's an extra step. People who want to do it may do it. Otherwise, you can just skip that step entirely. So the fabric needs to be dyed first, or you can have colored fabric, and then with fabric color, or if you have certain fabric pens, you can write down whatever you'll be doing it right now, okay, on the paper. Alternatively, we are using papers for our ease and for a quick process. But if you do it on cloth, that kind of remains with you for a very long period of time. You can hang it up somewhere where it's really breezy and nice, like you hang up your wind chimes, and it gives you a constant reminder of what intentions you have set. For paper, it runs a risk of getting torn. So, preferred that you can work on cloth. Okay, so as a pilot study, we can do it on paper for ourselves and then we can transform it on cloth as well. So for the cloth method, what you need to do is take these pieces of cloth and then, you know, fold this part and you can have a hem side. You can stitch it along this. Okay. So that kind of prepares your five color flags. You can keep it ready. After which the entire process follows as we'll be doing it right now. Okay, so all of you ready? If I can get one or two responses, it would be easier for me. Anyone has any questions? Anything you would like to ask at this point of time? No? Okay. So we move on. You can have your own sheets of paper, and the first step would be to color in the five colors. First, we start with blue. So you can take out your color pencils or poster colors or watercolor, whatever you have, and you can color in a blue color all across this page. So now while you're working on the blue, I would like to go back to the previous slide and give you the intention what you need to work upon. Right now, while you're coloring in, you would have to think about these three aspects, specifically body and communication. So your physical body and your communication, that means how you communicate with others, how you're interacting with others. So these two intentions we are going to write down. Intentions in the sense we are going to understand how or where my not where, how do I communicate with others, and my body, how is it responding to everyday life situations. Am I feeling very lethargic? Am I feeling energized? Am I not having the willpower to do any work? Okay, am I getting tired easily? Am I sleeping properly? So all these questions you can ask yourself about your body. If there is any pain in your body, you can specify that as well. Specify in the sense in your mind. Think about it, that whether there are certain types of ailments or some kind of pain or some kind of insecurity within you, which you have. Okay, maybe you have certain intense anxiety about your maybe liver or your stomach or your headaches, or maybe since you're unable to sleep, you have intense ruminations. So these all physical ailments you can think about at this moment. You can keep it in mind. Also, what are your communication channels with others? Like, how do you communicate with others? Is it properly done, or you're unable to express yourself properly? Or it can be both ways. You are very good with expression, or you are not, or somewhere in between. Or you would like to build up communication channels with others. Maybe you're good with your friends, but when it comes to your boss, or when it comes to someone of higher authority, you have certain inhibitions. You can't talk out that point of time. So everything in your mind while you're coloring, you can think of, because why this coloring is important? Because it sets your intentions. It kind of clarifies, makes you much more mindful, and this period of time you can utilize in thinking. Okay, so just keep a mental note for the time being. If you have some rough copies or some rough paper, while you are coloring, you can just after you're done with your coloring, you can write down in pointers your mental note about your health and communication. We are looking into only health and communication. The third part, which is the mind, we will transfer it to the white portion. Okay, so for the time being, we'll just work on health and communication. If you know the meaning of the word Om, Om is omnipresent. Basically, it's everything which you have. So these three words generally represent who you are. We need a healthy body and a healthy mind, and our power of expression in order to reach out to other people, since we are human beings. So these three elements actually make up who we are and make us much more fulfilled if we have a fully functioning body, mind, and communication channels. Any of one of these which are not functioning properly can pose a lot of issues, can cause a lot of distress if you reflect on it. Are we done coloring? Okay. You can write your own notes of whatever you thought of. Now, when we are thinking of in terms in as if our ailments, whatever issues which we are facing with our body and with our communication system. Now, what I would like you to do is basically put it into a form where you are, you have got rid of those issues, or you're writing it in a prayer form, that in a very positive note. Say for instance you have extreme anxiety about your health. Okay, you might feel that I'll fall sick, or maybe I'm feeling extremely lethargic, I don't have the energy to do any work now these days. So how we can write it as a prayer, or how we can write it as an intention, is in the present form. In the present form, in the sense that I feel energetic. It's like an affirmation which you're writing. I feel energetic. I have the willpower to do all the tasks which I've assigned for myself, all the important tasks which I've assigned for myself. So it's like an affirmation you're writing. Maybe you feel negative at this moment, but you're doing it the opposite way. Okay. If you're already feeling positive, then it's very good that I'm feeling positive. I'm fulfilled. I feel fulfilled. My, I am able to communicate with others properly. Okay, or I'm working on my communication system with others. I feel confident while I'm communicating with others. So all these affirmations, you need to write it down on your blue prayer flag. Anything related to your body and your communication, these two other things which you write on the blue flag. Ma'am, you were asking me something, you have any questions? um why can't I hear? I don't know why is it that I can't hear you all. um I don't know, something's wrong with my device. Okay, are we done?
Okay, are we done? Are we done? Are we done? Are we done?
Something's wrong with my device. I can't hear you all speaking. So I think we need to just. Uh, okay, so if any questions, you can put it in the chat box because I can't hear you all for some reason. I don't know why. All right. So if you're done with this, any questions, you can put it down in the chat box, please. I'll read it and answer. That means on the white portion, no, you will write on the blue portion only. Okay, so whatever prayers you're writing, whatever intentions you're setting, you have to write it down on the blue portion, on the colored side itself, not the white. White will go behind. Okay, so whatever we are doing is on the colored side. Whatever we are writing is on the colored side. If you feel it's extremely intimidating to write the opposite of what I'm feeling, you can always write that I'm working on feeling more energized. So it's like setting an intention that I'm putting in more effort to feel more energized, or I'm putting in effort to eat healthy, or I'm putting in effort to feel good about myself or the way I look. And also, if you talk about communication, I'm putting in effort to communicate with others more readily, or I feel more confident while I'm speaking with others. So these can be the statements or affirmations which you can write on the colored side of the flag. So this is your first flag, which represents the Om. Somewhere you can write down Om as well below. Sample thing, you'll see the words are written emotional. So I've written my part. Has everyone done it, or do you have any questions? Fine. So we move on to the white flag. Now, white you don't need to color. So the same way, we'll be looking into the knowledge or the awareness part. How much are we aware of our issues which are going on, or how much mental peace which we have? Okay, mental peace in the sense, how much are we satisfied with our lives, with our own selves, everything which is there in our mind space, whatever we are thinking, feeling, doing. Okay, so these are the things which you can put intentions on, and this would comprise of your awareness as well as your mind, your wellness, your emotional wellness as well. So the word money has been broken down into M-A, ma-ni, and I. Ni comes under red and comes under white. So you can write down as well as write down your intentions directly. Give it a thought, give it a little thought, and then start writing. See, someone who has been experiencing low mood of late. Okay, so low mood would include uh, mood fluctuations. It could include irritation, some forms of depression, even self harm. There can be a range of emotional turmoil. So, what you say, for instance, a person is experiencing fluctuation of emotional this thing, a fluctuation of mood. So the person can write, I feel much more stable, or I'm working on making myself feel more happier, or I'm working on more consistency, emotional consistency. These can be written as affirmations on the white flag. So anything to do with your mood, anything to do with your emotional setup, as well as your awareness. Awareness in the sense, if you're not aware of your problems or the issues which are going on, or maybe the source of all the issues which are going on, you will never be able to solve it. So it's very important that you spend some time on this. Try to figure out what is causing my distress, if any, and write down your intentions accordingly. So it can be any form of affirmation. No, you should not be writing at the back side of the paper, only on the colored side. Okay, the back side will be hung towards the wall. So anything which can be seen or read out by you, if you are a private person, if you don't want other people to read it out, you can just hang it up somewhere in the corner. But make sure that it is, it is breezy. Okay, in cities, we generally don't find a lot of breeze or maybe high altitude flats and all. So, what you can do is tie it up somewhere in your bedroom, somewhere in the corner where you have the fan moving the flags. Okay, so a lot of fluttering activity will help you to fixate your intentions as well. I'll come to that part why it has to flutter in the wind. Yes, yes, you can include multiple affirmations on the flag. Okay, as much as the flag can hold, you can always include that. And just another input here, we have to make two sets of it. Okay, in case you don't want to cram it up, you can make flags like five of them now and then maybe five of them later and string it up. Generally, it has to be a 10 series flag. Okay, so five colors and again five colors repetition. So if you feel that your flags are becoming very cramped, you can always do it on different flags. Not only this, maybe you don't want to write, you can include symbols or drawings, anything which can resonate with you. Anything which resonates can be put on. Symbols can also work, doodles can also work, anything will work. Okay, there's no hard and fast rule that you have to write only. Okay, the intentions are more important. How you symbolize them, it's totally up to you. Say, for instance, the Om part which you have written, if I have to write, I feel confident. I don't want to write it down, but I make a sun drawing out here, which for me may uh, kind of resemble that I'm bright, I'm shining, I'm confident, I'm powerful. So I can always make symbols which resonates with my knowledge systems. So the white flag, if you're done, any questions at this point? So the fluttering part, while you're writing, I would like to highlight a little bit here, which I skipped maybe. Um, it's very important that the flags are hung up somewhere windy, like a wind chime. We have that concept of the sound which resonates throughout the house and brings in positive energy. Same with the prayer flags. The intention behind hanging prayer flags high up in the altitudes were to spread the prayer. They used to write these kind of prayers or slokas, and the intention was that with the fluttering in the air, they gradually, and in the sun, they gradually faded away the inscriptions or the writings. So that kind of prayer um, mingled with the universe and brought in good luck to everyone around them. It's not only the individual, but it's like a holistic thing. It's for the community. Okay, so whatever flags were there, it kind of disappeared into, with over a period of time, it disappeared into the universe, specifically our environment, and that brought in a lot of positive energy into the entire community. So same thing with this. Why we discourage paper? Because it gets stoned. It's more, if it's in a place, it doesn't fade over a period of time. Cloth fades away very fast, and the more it fades away, the better it is for you. It's generally thought that way, because colors and inscriptions or whatever positive things you have written, that gets dissolved in the air and brings in that energy form. This is the concept, the cultural concept behind it. So while you're making your prayer flags, make it a point that you hang it up somewhere which is a little bit breezy and sunny. Okay. Any other questions before we move? Okay. The next one is the red one. Again, the same method. You have to color in red this time, or maybe any shade of red. Generally, people also prefer a red orange or a pink red. So it's up to you, whichever color you want to denote this. Now, red color symbolizes fire. Now, fire means a lot of energy, compassion, passion, love. All these words are associated with the color red. You can make it dark, you can make it light. It's up to you, but make it a point that you can write on it, and the words are visible. It's important that the words are visible. So while you are coloring in this, you can set your intentions, anything surrounding your love, relationships, or any kind of compassion, empathy, which you want to build inside you. Any kind of positive emotion related to relationships and your and loving one another. It can be your spouse, it can be your children, it can be your family, it can be your partner, it can be anything related to relationships. Okay, say for instance, a person is going through a tough relationship, or there are certain turmoils in between two partners. So they can write certain intentions which will bring into their consciousness that what are the do's and don'ts. So at this juncture, if you have a couple coming in, if you have someone who's facing a lot of issues with their partners, or maybe even teenagers who are going through infatuation phases, you can always set ask them to set intentions as to what they want with that relationship, to clarify, to have clear goals about it. If there are constant fights, if there are constant differences between two people as a couple, you can always ask each of the um, partners to write down their intentions, and thereby you'll also figure out what their exact intentions are or what their exact wants are. Sometimes they themselves don't know why they are getting into a lot of trouble, a lot of altercations. So at this juncture, if they think, if they put their intentions in place, they'll be able to figure out that yes, this is what is going wrong and this is where I need rectification, and this is where I can work upon. So it comes to a conjunction where both the partners can brainstorm on ideas as well later on based on this. This activity is great for groups. If you do it as a group also, that will give you a clear picture as to what the group think is. Even it acts very well with support groups where you're writing about each other's intentions and you're holistically feeling very positive about things. And people will also come to know that yes, it's not only me who's having this problem, there are so many others also, and they can support each other. Writing down affirmations can also be a group activity where they collectively think of certain affirmations and write it down. But for group activities, if you're doing it on one flag, try to make a bigger one, okay, so that everyone can fit in and write. So for red again, love and compassion. How much compassionate you are. If you're, say, for instance, feeling very shut down, if you're feeling non-empathetic, sometimes it happens that we numb. A lot of times we numb. We don't have any emotions left in us. We don't feel emotions inside us. So this is a great way of channelizing that emotion. Maybe you can start working on certain affirmations which can bring into your consciousness that yes, I need to start feeling again. It can be for anyone, friends, partners, neighbors, anyone. Okay. Prayer flags doesn't only mean that you have to write it for yourself, but you can do it for someone else also. Okay. And show it to them, or maybe bring them in and encourage them to write their intentions. Okay. Say, for instance, your children, or maybe someone whom you are in a distant relationship, also can be written out. Okay, you can do it for others as well. Maybe you can do it and gift it to them as well. That this is what I want you to, this is what I feel about you. So you can keep it as a gift. And there's another tradition here involved, that prayer flags are always supposed to be gifted to someone. It's not supposed to be bought. So it can be a great way of sending good wishes to someone. It can be a kind of a note for gratitude. Okay. So this is basically a mindfulness and a gratitude building and intention setting activity as well, which you can do it for yourself as well as for others. In therapy sessions, you can ask children, teenagers to make prayer flags. You can make it more modernized because they won't understand the cultural aspects or the spiritual aspects. You can make it more modernized and say to them that you can always gift it to your friends. You can set intentions and give maybe somewhere in the family you can gift it to someone else if there are certain conflicts in the family as well. Maybe with the mother, with the father, it can be some very small token of appreciation for others. Okay, so you can make this activity as a gratitude card or a gratitude activity. Now, going by the word love, it doesn't only mean love towards others, but also love towards yourself. So, compassion and love can be also self induced. So, you can write about yourself as well. Maybe if you are into a situation where you're always caring for others but neglecting yourself, and you feel you need to work on that, you can always write about yourself as well. You can write words like, I love myself, I'm proud of myself. or I feel good about who I am. So these affirmations can be written, or I'm working on loving myself more. If you're in the process, if you feel intimidated by writing only what is not there inside you, you can always have a statement which is somewhere in between. Yes, the materials I'll be sending you together because this is the fourth class. Once you submit the assignment, I'll give you a deadline. Once you submit the assignment, I'll be sending your certificates out. Okay, so there will be a link. I will be sending my mail, and over there will be a submission link. There will be all the materials which are there. There will be short videos also, which can sum up these methods in a very crisp way, and you can afterwards you can submit the entire assignment section, and you will be getting your certificates after the fourth class, and then we'll start off with another set of four classes.
Dr. Lee, I have a question.
Yes.
Affirmation we're writing, should we
Mhm.
write like I am going to, or I am giving myself more time? That is because I've been writing, I am going to, I'm trying to,
Yes, yes.
So
That's what I'm
what
saying.
is
It can be intimidating for some people because you are not into that state of mind. So it can be very challenging to put yourself there. So it can be
right?
written as a prayer. Prayer flags are for people who cannot work on affirmations. Okay, so you write
Hmm.
down as a prayer. I would be delighted if I have this particular trait in me. So
Okay.
basically, you can write it that way, or you can write that I'm working on.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm working on is much more subdued than what I am.
I
Okay,
am
something which
going
is
to is okay. So it's
it's
something
not
like
I'm going to, it's about doing
hmm,
it in the present. I am working on,
I am working on. Perfect.
or I have started.
Hmm.
I'm working on. So these kind of remind you to do it, because if you write what you said that I
Hmm.
will never comes. Okay, so it's
Okay.
always in our head that I will be doing it, but when? Unless and
When
until you
come?
know that yes, I am doing it, that means I'm kind of indirectly or unconsciously putting a responsibility on myself. And
Putting
the
one.
universe is helping me. That's the spiritual part. But even if we strip off the spiritual part and only think about our reminders, it's like I am working on. It's not that I am holy. People who cannot accept
Okay.
that, I am working on. That will propel you to move forward rather than I
Perfect.
will.
Yeah, I got your point. I got because I was trying to write like I am trying. I'm going, okay. This is just doesn't look like an affirmation to me. You know, that's why I thought okay, let me barge in and ask. This is a deviation from this class. My last poem is still not done. Somehow I'm not able to wrap up the last two lines. So I
Mhm.
can still submit it today, right?
Yes, you will get a deadline for submission of all four if you
Oh,
haven't yet. So I'll give you another, say, week or so. In between, I'll
mhm.
send out mails with all the details. Okay, so
I've done the
in the
first two. First two was actually it was it was a refresher. The emotional wheel and the totem animals. It was enjoyable also.
yes,
It was like an exercise. But then the poem one, it goes more about you.
or deep, yes,
When
yes.
when you're a giving person, it's like it's
Mhm.
very easy when you think about other people. But when you start to think about yourself, it's like
Yes.
it sends you in a swirl. So
So
that is where I'm
these
stuck in the
tasks,
last words.
yes, yes. Take your time and do it. There's no hurry. Okay, so you should not be hurrying up with these
Okay, okay.
activities. Okay. So red one,
Yes,
if you're
perfect.
done, if
Thank
you
you.
can, welcome. If you can doodle out something, it can be a very silly doodle also, not necessarily a very elaborate and functional drawings. The word for the red flag is ni, which is part of money. Money means a jewel. Okay. So I'm done with the red flag also. We are left with two more flags, which is green and yellow. Similarly, the green one is indicating decision making or your wisdom, whatever maturity you have. If you feel that yes, you have a tendency to take wrong decisions, or you're falling into trouble all the time. So you can write an affirmation in order to smoothen that out. So affirmations for decision making, for wisdom, building wisdom. Can someone highlight maybe whatever you have written? Maybe you can highlight for the green. Green here surprisingly means water. Okay, so water is, if we take the metaphorical meaning of water, if we take the metaphorical meaning of water, we would generally, it would generally resemble our calmness and composure. So can someone tell me how is decision making all weaved into the first three which we worked on? Decision making is weaved on with the rest of the things which are there above it: awareness, relationships, love, compassion, our physical well-being. And this is one of the most important flags which you can have, and the formations which really help you to, propel in life and be holistically developed. Can someone throw some light? How is
See,
decision making?
how I can relate to this is that my decisions are usually based on how it helps other people out. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so if indirectly it impacts my mental health, my awareness on myself, and it also impacts the relationship I have with other people. Like
Right.
my, as of now, it's my child more I interact. Okay, so I have the set rules, ethical rules which has to be done at this time. But sometimes the teenager growing may want to explore the area of
Right.
their own area of freedom. So
Mhm.
there happens a conflict.
Right.
Okay, so how you handle that decision of theirs impacts all
Mhm.
these: your mental health, your awareness, and your relationship.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
So your decision making, you can, kind of gauge what kind of conflicts you're having. There are several types of conflict. It can be approach avoidance, avoidance, and then multiple approach avoidance. They're going by your current situation. You can first pinpoint what kind of decision making issues you're having. Approach can be that you want to do something, two different or three different things together. Approach conflict where you want to do this as well as this. So you have a kind of a conflict as to which one to choose. It's basically about choosing. It's not about rejecting. It's about choosing which one works best for you. So gauging the entire pros and cons of both the situations and picking up one. This is much more mellowed down conflict. It doesn't have any harmful effects as such. But the second type is approach avoidance conflict, where you want to avoid something and do the other. So it's basically that I want to eat chocolate, but I don't want to put on weight. So it becomes a much more complex situation. This is a very basic issue, but there are many life issues which goes on that I want to, maybe go abroad and settle down, but then I don't want to miss out on my family here. This can be another situation of approach avoidance conflict. You want to approach something, but want to avoid the other from happening. Avoidance is the most difficult one, where you want to avoid both the situations. I don't want to study and I also don't want to fail. So it's basically both you're trying to avoid, but you are bound to take up one, and specifically the choice which will make you maybe more distressed. This is a very basic one, but still, avoidance, multiple approach avoidance are the most scariest, where you have to pick and choose one which is very unpleasant. Okay, so depending on these types, you can read about these more. You can do a little bit of reading and also come to a conclusion as to where you're facing difficulties in decision making. Whether if you go by your life script, whether you were able to take good decisions in your life or not. If not, what were the drawbacks from the past? You can draw out conclusions that, yes, I took wrong decisions. Based on this, I found out that I took wrong decisions. Later on, I found out what exactly were you thinking while you were taking the decision and what went wrong. And maybe you can pinpoint certain aspects which is more common to all your decision making. If you have a proper decision making power and you know that yes, whichever decision, more or less whichever decision I've taken worked out well for me, then great. Then you can write down affirmations as strongly as possible. But in case you have certain fluctuating decision making where you have taken wrong decisions and you've fallen into trouble, or you have given trouble to others, or you have faced losses and all, you can always pinpoint as to what not to do. So you can maybe write that down, that yes, something which went wrong and I've identified that this went wrong due to this reason. You can write the reverse of that reason, that now maybe say for instance, you're very impulsive when you've taken a decision. So you can write the opposite, that I am working on having patience. Okay. Or you can, if you are more readily acceptable about the affirmations, you can write, I am much more calmer, or I am calm. All these affirmations you can write down if you're working on it, if you've identified it. Any questions from your decision making? I will give you a few pointers also on conflict resolution and conflict, how to identify your conflict type, so that you can go through it and have a more deeper insight into it. And as ma'am also summarized, the decision making is weaved into rest of the other aspects of your life as well, whether it's relationship, any kind of wrong decision can affect your relationships. It can affect a lot of your self esteem needs, that can trigger low confidence, that can also kind of affect your body and mind. Okay, you might just start feeling lethargic. You don't feel like doing anything if you're taking wrong decisions. Also, your mind might just be very, very preoccupied with negative thoughts. So everything with good decisions, you have a better aspect towards life. So the green one also you can write down, and the word for green is Padme, which means lotus, which in return means wisdom. And last but not the least is the yellow one. Yellow one would represent anything to do with your learning, your career aspects, your goals in life. It's not only your career, it can be any kind of life goal as well. So, yellow is generally for concentration, the yellow color. It means new learning, it means a lot of energy, determination, concentration. So, people who have wavering concentration can always write affirmations or can identify where they are going wrong and write it down. The word for yellow is hum. You can color it and have your own symbols written out that you need to, if you want to explore more ideas, if you want to start off something new, if you are looking into certain options, if you want to grow your knowledge, you can always write that I read a lot. I like exploring new places. It can be a travel experience also. Or maybe I am very clear about my career goals, or I'm working on my career goals. I'm working on my financial goals. It can be anything related to your life goals. It can be finances, it can be your work, it can be your passion, it can be your hobbies, it can be about your own self development, your own agendas which you have set for yourself. It can be anything. People who are working for becoming more popular or famous, you can also write that down on the paper. See, this is what we did as a prototype. Paper, again, I would discourage, but for a classroom setting or maybe your, client setup, if people are not very comfortable with sewing, You can give them super glues to glue together. If not, if it becomes very difficult to handle cloth and the writing and all those things, you can all switch it to paper only towards the end. So this kind of give you a rough idea as to what to do, which you can transfer it to cloth. That becomes much more authentic. So blue first, and then you have your white, then you have your red, then you have green, and then you have yellow. So this can be from the left to right. So first towards your left will be blue, then you have your white, then you have your red, green, and yellow. Okay, from your left to right, this is the order which we generally follow. So you can follow the order of the words also. Om, Ma, Di, Padme, Hum. Okay, that would give you a direction. Now the next step after you are done with this, I hope even if you have not completed it, you can do it later. You can take a string. This is one set. You have to work on another set of 5. We generally take a string and then glue it at the back. So at the back, you're going to fold it and glue it together so that the thread holds in the inside. And if you have cloth, it can be stitched, or maybe you can use super glue. So what you do is this way, you put the thread inside and glue this together. Okay, so you glue all your 5 flags together and make it into a string of flags. Any questions at this moment while we are working on it? Anything you would like to ask? Any questions, any queries? See, this activity takes a long time. Okay, since we are just doing a draft of it, we kind of worked on only paper. It took us less time.
Hello,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear now.
Just a query. If I'm making it for someone else,
Mhm.
so whichever flag I make, I have to give that it to them, or I have to keep it with myself.
You can gift it to them. It would be better
Okay.
if you gift it, and especially the cloth ones. If you can,
Yeah.
you gift it to them, then they can hang it up as a decoration also, because that becomes
Hmm.
much more authentic. Paper ones are just for show. Okay,
Okay.
it
Okay. Okay.
generally doesn't fade off. The intention is to fade that off. So fading means time, and you're giving yourself enough time in order to transform. You know, the
Okay.
horse, the jewel, which originally is on the flags, on the Tibetan flags, they
Hmm.
represent some kind of transformation, positive transformation.
Okay.
Okay, so the our
Thank
intention is,
you.
yes, our intention is to transform ourselves in a positive way. So we are writing our
Oh,
intentions. And
okay.
the
Thank you,
more it
ma'am.
fades, yes, the more it fades, it will give you some indication that there's a lapse of time and how far has my intentions worked out. Okay, how far have I gone with my set intentions? Like, how much have I traversed? If I haven't traversed, then why? So that gives a channel for introspection as well. It's a good way to keep yourself alert about what your intentions or
Okay.
your life goals are.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome. So this is how it's going to, shape up. This will be your flag. 2 more are left. For counselors or for psychologists who are practicing art-based therapy, you can keep pieces of cloth ready, but don't keep tiny ones because otherwise they'll not be able to write down on it. And if they are writing it down, you need to keep certain markers, especially for for writing on cloth. Otherwise, papers will also do. Try to use kite paper. If you want to skip the coloring part, maybe you can use kite paper, which is much more thinner and which might just fade away easily. If you put it out in the sun, kite paper fades away very easily. Okay, so not very easily, but over a period of time, it just fades away. So you can always inform the person that, keep a track as to how well it's fading. The more it fades, the better it is for you because it will give you constant reminders. Wow, great. Thank you for showing it to us. So if you can read up the cultural aspects about the ancient flags, most of it has, gone with time. Most of the inscriptions, most of the writings which were there on the flag, they've all faded away. They have modified, transformed. So very little is left. If you next time go to the hills, specifically the Himalayas, northern India, if you visit, try to read what's written there originally in monasteries and all. You'll get to see a little bit more than what you get in the commercialized flags. Okay. Look at the symbols while you are, going through the flags, because even the inscriptions you won't understand anything. The symbols will give you a lot of, insight as to why these flags were there in the first place. So this is the flag which I've done. You can do it in any possible way. You can decorate, you can cut, you can have certain decorations on it also, and you can hang it up. Few introspective questions which you can work on. So the discussion questions would be for you to write down as assignment and complete the work as well. So what I would suggest is when you're doing the fair work on the cloth, I would prefer you to work on cloth. If you're doing it on cloth, alternatively, also this is open for you, the paper part. Do one flag every day. For the next 10 days, do one flag every day. Take up one color. Say, for instance, today you take up blue, and with a lot of deep thought and intention, set your intentions and write it down in fair. Okay, so maybe tomorrow you can take up the white one, the next day the red one, and so on. For the next 10 days, your task is to work on one flag and set your intentions. End of 10th day, you kind of string up the entire flag. There will be another set of 5 flags towards this end, and you kind of hang up the entire thing somewhere and take a picture and upload. I would not like to know what you have written. That's a very personal prayer which you have for yourself. Anyone who is willing to share, you're most welcome. We'll be, thrilled to see that. But apart from that, you can just take a picture, maybe some corner of your house or your balcony or your garden or your terrace, wherever you can. Just hang it up high, and it will be great seeing that. Okay, or if some any of your clients or students have done it, that will also do. Okay. So questions for you to introspect would be, what were your intentions you added to your flag, and why are these significant to you at this point of time in your life? So these are the questions which you would have to introspect for each of these flags. Maybe you can write it down in your journal as well. And as I've told you earlier, group setting, each member can share their own, flag if they are willing to, and come to a holistic conclusion, or they get support from each other. Same questions can be done with a group setting as well. So any questions? This was it for today. And we'll be starting off with another 4 set of art therapy based activities uh, after, say, around 10 days, or maybe even before. I'm not very sure when, but within the next 10 days, you'll get to know about the next 4 set of activities which we'll be working on. And assignment links and all will be sent via mail, also posted on the groups and all our social media platforms. So just stay tuned. Any questions you would like to ask before we end our session? Anything? Any insight or feedback onto this activity? I would like to know as well.
Yes, ma'am. This is very interesting, and I love this activity.
Thank you.
The The best part of this that we can do it for others.
Yes,
Rather
absolutely.
on
It's like
working
a
on
prayer.
ourselves, we can do it for others. I love
Ye-
that thing.
Yes, that's a very
Thank
nice
you
part.
very much.
Most welcome. I'm glad.
Thank you very much. Enjoying every session.
Thank you. I'm also enjoying taking classes with you all. It's like also a learning for me as well. See,
We
prayer
eagerly
flags,
wait for your
honestly.
session every time.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so happy about it. So
Thank
once
you,
you
ma'am.
start
Thank you
doing
very much.
this, this will, open up more. Once you read more about prayer flags, I would always ask you to read more. And that will open up your knowledge system as well. Maybe it won't be related, but somewhere or the other, you will feel very enlightened.
Yes, sure, ma'am. That's very true.
Thank you so much, all of you, for your time, and we'll meet soon. I'll update it on my social media.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
Have a
bye.
nice
Take care.
bye. Take care.